Hello everyone, welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we will understand about how dependency injection works in lazy loaded modules. So let's understand the setup first. In the toolbar, there is a simple button login. When I click on this button, we are redirected to the login screen. It's a simple form. It contains username, password and a save button. When I enter the information, admin as username and any password, the button is enabled. And when I click on this button, we are navigated to the dashboard component. So when we click on the save button on login screen, we are storing the user information on a user service, and the same service is injected into the dashboard component, and from there we are showing the information welcome and username on the component. And when we click on this hamburger menu, there is a link lazy. So when I click on this lazy, a lazy component will be loaded using the lazy loading mechanism. So when I click on this button, you can see this component, which is lazy component, is loaded using the lazy loading mechanism, and the same service is injected here, and we are showing the same information welcome admin, which is username. Also, when we click on this logout button, we clear the information on the user screen, and then we redirect to the login component. Let's jump into the code. So this is login component. You can see here I have declared a form. In the constructor, I have injected three services, which is form builder, user service and router. On ng on init, there is a form. I have initialized form with the to control, which is username and password. Initial value is blank and these are required field. And then I have created setters for username and password form control. So when we click on the button, first we check whether form is valid or not. Then we create a user where we set the name property of this user object as the value of the username control. So this user object contains three properties: id, age and name. And as I said, name is set using the form control value. Now once it is set, I use the user service and broadcast the user, which is created here using this broadcast user data, and then I navigate to the dashboard screen. So let's look how this user service looks like. You can see we have created a behavior subject which is going to emit the value of type user. Initially that user is default user, which contains id and age as 0 and name as blank, and I have exposed one observable from this user subject with .as observable method, and that is as user dollar. And in the broadcast data, we can see we are calling the next method, and we are broadcasting this user to all the components where this user dollar is subscribed. So let's see where I have injected this user service in other components. So first let's go to the dashboard component. Here I have declared a local variable which is user dollar, which is of type observable of user, and injected the user service, and I am assigning the user dollar observable on user service to the local user variable. So if I look into the HTML, you can see that I am using async pipe on the observable, and I am getting the name property out of it, which is username, and then I am writing the message as welcome and the username. So that's good. Now let's go to the lazy component. I have injected the same service over there. I have exposed the user dollar, and then I am writing the, let's go to the HTML, and I am doing the same thing over here. I am writing the message using that observable. And let's go to the logout component also. So here when we jump into the HTML, you can see there is a button. When I click on this button, we are calling a function which is on logout click. So let's jump into the code. When I click on this logout click, you can see there are two services injected, user service here, and I am using this broadcast user data, and I am resetting this user as default user, which is id as 0 and name as blank, and then we are navigate to the login component. Now as I said, this user service is injected into dashboard component. If we go there, it is injected here, and if we look, this component is part of dashboard module. So this is part of dashboard module, and here we have imported shared module, and if you go to this module, you can see the user service is provided over there. Now that shared module is part of dashboard module, and this dashboard module is imported into app module. So if you look at app module, we can see this is imported into here. So this dashboard module is a eager module, and it is not a lazy module. And if we go to the lazy module, which is here, you can see that I haven't injected the shared module here. All I am doing when I go to the lazy component, you can see I just directly injected the user service. Now let's say the requirement changes, and it says that we need to create a reusable component which should be used in lazy and eager components. So here it is lazy component, and then eager component is dashboard component. So the best place to create such component is shared module. So if you look at this shared module, I already have created a shared component. If you go to the HTML, it contains a paragraph tab and simple text, and component is empty. So let me copy this component and declare it into the shared module. So I have declared here, and then I should export. So if I write exports array, then yes. Okay, so now let me copy this selector and keep it in the dashboard component. So dashboard module is there. Let me go to the dashboard component.html. So I already have placed it here, and the same tag should be there in the lazy component. So let me go to the lazy component. If I go to the lazy component HTML, I should keep it here. Now it says that this is not a known element because I haven't imported the shared module. So let me import the shared module here. All right, so let me save and go to the browser. Let me see whether build is created. Yes, so let me go to the browser, and we are here on the login component, and now let's see how our application behaves. So I'm going to use this admin and then password as anything a. I will go to the dashboard component. I can see the message clearly, and when I click on this lazy button, lazy link, you can see I am not able to see that message, although the component is here. So let me log out. Let me go to the dashboard again. So admin here, you can see the message and the component is working fine. But in case of lazy component, we can see the component but the message is gone. So what's going on here? If we look into the user service, we can see in the constructor we are writing console.log in user service constructor. So let's go back to the browser. Let me log out, open the developers tool, F12, and clear the console and refresh it. So at the first time, we can see the output is here in user service because user service is injected and successfully created. Now let me log in here, admin, then a, and save. And when I click on this lazy link, you can see I can see another console which is in user service constructor. So the new instance or second instance of user service is created. So if we go to the service here, you can see the newly created user service instance is used in lazy component, and you can see that initially we are sending the default user which contains name as blank, and when this name is not found here, which is null, in that case this container is not displayed. Now question is why two instances of user service are created. So to understand it, we need to understand the dependency injection mechanism in lazy loaded module. So let's look here. You can see that whenever the lazy module is loaded, a child injector is created. So injector is a class which provides the dependencies. So once we load the lazy module, child injector is created. It will create all the dependencies looking into the lazy modules, all the modules which are the part of this lazy module. So it can be shared module, which is in our case is true, and then other modules are part of this lazy module. And if it finds the provider over there, then it will create altogether new instance of that service. And if it doesn't find, then in that case it will resort to the root injector. So of course in case of eager module, it will go to the root injector. So let's understand it in our code. So here you can see the lazy component is asking for the user service, and this component is part of lazy module. You can see here. So once this lazy module is loaded, a child injector will be created and it will look into the all the modules. So it will try to find the dependency. So here the dependency is provided in the providers array. So in that case it will create the new instance of user service and give it to the lazy component. And of course if we go to the dashboard module, there the shared module is also written. So since this dashboard module is a eager module, because this module is the part of app module, here you can say it is part of this imports array. So in this case the user service instance will be there, and that will be the root injector. All right. So the problem is, how do we solve this problem? If we somehow get only one instance of user service, then we can solve the problem. So what we can do, if we look into the shared module, we can remove this user service from this providers array. Let me cut it and let me paste it into the app module. So we can paste it here. Now in our case, when the lazy component will ask for the user service dependency, then it will go to that all the modules which is part of the lazy module. So it will look into the shared module. So it will not find any providers over there, and it will go to the injection modules. So if you look at in the injection module, we cannot find the user service here also, neither in the providers array nor in any imported modules. So in that case it will the child injector will not be able to locate the dependency, and it will go to the root injector. So it will go to the root injector here, and here it will find the user service. So now only single instance of user service will be shared across all the application. So let's save it and go back to the browser. Let me clear the console. Let me log in here and refresh it. So here we can see that our console is written. Let me type username, any password, and save it. We can see the message, and when I click on the lazy component, here the message is working fine, and in the console you can see the new instance of user service is not created. Now problem with this approach is our code is not tree shakeable. So tree shaking is a performance optimization technique introduced with the release of Angular 6, where if the dependency is not used, that dependency is not part of the final bundle. So in our case, when we declare the dependency here in the providers array, then this will be the part of the final bundle size, even though that service is not used anywhere. So our size of the bundle will increase if it is not used. So if we go by that technique, let me comment it out. How can we do that? Let's go to the F12 and we can make the service t-shakeable using provided in property, and there are three values for it. We can write is root. That means the service will be injected as the part of root injector. So let me comment it here and save it. Now we have achieved both the advantage where first it is tree shakeable, and second one is there will be only single instance throughout the application. So right, so let's test it. Go back to the browser. Let me clear the console, go to the login and refresh it. All right, so we can see in the console the whatever written is constructor is there. Then let me log in and save. We can see the message. Go to the lazy module. We can see only single instance is there, and we can see the message also. So we have achieved both the advantage, which is, you know, the service is t-shakeable and two instances of service are not there. Now key learning of this session is eagerly loaded modules get dependencies from root injector as singleton class. When a lazy module is loaded, child injector is created and dependency is provided from there as a new instance. If the child injector is unable to locate the dependency, then it will go to the root injector. You should never provide any dependencies in provider's array of module except the app module, as stateful service will behave differently in lazy loading due to new instance creation, and definitely it would be difficult to debug. Never provide any dependencies in provider's array of app module because such services are not tree shakeable. To make a tree shakeable singleton service, we should use injectable decorator, and we need to set provided in property as root. So I hope this session is very fruitful to you. Let's meet into the next session. Guys, I have created a video course on Udemy, which is Angular Practicals. It covers many practical problems and solutions in Angular. So if you go through it, there are various sections: basic practical problems and solutions, then RxJS, best practices, code refactoring, design pattern, performance. So right now it is 2.5 hours long, but I am updating it every now and then. So link is provided in the description. I hope you will like it.